car crash cases, defective products, dangerous drugs, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis Wright, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts. The attorneys with Josh Wright from the law firm of Hollis Wright and host David Lamb.
Good evening and welcome into the attorneys. Thank you so much for joining us for the next half hour. We have a panel of experts dealing with a topic that affects all of us at some point in life. So you're going to want to stick around for our conversation tonight. A couple of tips, kind of some ground rules for you. All throughout the program tonight, you'll see ways you can join the conversation. That's at the bottom of the screen. Also, Hollis Wright makes available during each and every episode of the attorneys, attorneys standing by live to speak with you. That's an off-air, confidential, free conversation. All you have to do is pick up the phone and give them a call. So at any point in the next half hour during the show tonight, if you would give them a call, an attorney will pick up on the other line, on the other end, and a great opportunity to get some free legal advice. Leading our conversation, partner at the firm of Hollis Wright is Carter Clay. Carter.
Good to see you, Mr. Lamb. You doing well?
You as well? Doing well.
Great. Yeah, this is one of those topics that is absolutely necessary that we cover from time to time, but it's unfortunate in a lot of ways that we have to cover it, because what we're going to be talking about tonight is elder law. Now, what does elder law involve? At Hollis Wright, we represent elderly individuals who have been injured in automobile accidents, trucking accidents, maybe they've been victims of medical malpractice or nursing home abuse, but that's not exactly what we're going to be talking about tonight. That's an aspect of it, but really what we're going to be talking about tonight is what families should do when they have family members that are getting up in age and perhaps maybe they're a little mentally unstable, emotionally unstable, maybe they're in early stages of dementia or Alzheimer's. How do you handle that type of situation, not only from an estate planning standpoint, but also in terms of long-term care? You know, we all grow up and we have parents that raise us, they love us, they support us morally, they support us financially, and at some point as a child, your parents are going to get up in age and you're going to be faced or confronted with a situation where you have to make decisions on whether or not perhaps your parent comes and lives with you, or perhaps they need to go into a nursing home facility or something along those lines. And there's a lot that really goes into that decision-making process. And we're very fortunate here tonight to have Bill Nolan here with us to talk about this particular subject. Right now, as I was getting prepared for the show, there's about 3.5 million individuals, elderly people that are out there that are in nursing homes. And so this is a topic that is very relevant and pertinent to the viewers here this evening. And welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, tell us a little bit about your legal practice.
Well, we spend the vast majority of our time working with seniors and their adult daughters, to be honest with you, to help the senior craft a plan to maximize whatever benefits they might be eligible for, to protect their assets for as long as possible, and preserve their independence along the way. And although the senior is the client, of course, it's the 50-year-old daughter usually who's helping shepherd the process through to completion.
Now, how did you get started in this particular area of law? Is this something that there are a lot of lawyers that are out there doing, and is there an event or experience that you had in life that kind of led you to this area of law?
Yeah, it's, you know, when you look back at things, you sort of say, you know, I should have predicted this all along, but that's not the way it took place. I was doing estate planning for years and working in the banking industry, and I saw a lot of needs that seniors had that weren't being addressed by existing institutions, and sort of drifted over towards helping seniors. And in 1997, one of the leaders in the Birmingham community in elder law started promoting elder law, and nobody in 1997 knew what it was. We said, what's so strange about seniors? And she kept plugging away, and gradually it gained a foothold, and now it's a separate practice area from all the other areas.
Now, in general, kind of, how do you get business in the field of elder law? How does this business appear to you in terms of somebody knocking on your door or calling you?
Well, I'd say the financial planning community. Investment advisors would be the number one referral source. They see their clients aging, they see these needs not being met, and they see some gaps in terms of security in their clients' portfolios, and they'll refer their client to us to have a free consultation. Social workers are also a tremendous referral source for us. Other lawyers who don't practice in this area but know enough about it to know there's some needs there will refer their clients over as well.
Now, what are some of the top sort of, say, 5 events or actions that you're typically taking or that you're seeing when people come to you? What issues are kind of prevalent in your area?
Well, dementia is, of course, the biggest these days. So many people are diagnosed with dementia. I bet you can't meet a single soul who don't know someone who has dementia. And dementia leads to a whole slew of other problems down the road. So the window of opportunity for someone with dementia to do some planning is closing faster than for most of us. That's by far the number one reason we see people. Parkinson's is another issue. People with debilitating diseases, COPD and others, that's a big reason to meet. But generally, it's certain red flag moments in a person's life tend to generate a need for our services. You know, the loss of a spouse is a huge thing. That's when you should meet and talk. Remarriage, you know, once a widow or a widower is considering remarriage, that's a time to consider your options. If you're thinking of needing a caregiver to come into your home, that's a time to plan. That means something is changing. Or deciding to move from home into a facility, that's another time to plan. You know, they say it wasn't raining when Noah built the ark, and the idea is don't wait for the problem to become a crisis. Plan well ahead, because you might not have the luxury of planning when the need arises.
Well, and I want to circle back a minute to something that you said a minute ago, because I think this is critically important. You commented about the window of opportunity might close pretty quickly. And am I correct that what you're talking about there is you want to be able to identify that there may be an issue or a problem, but you want to address the issue or a problem before the elderly person gets to a point to where they're truly incompetent? Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly. You know, lack of capacity is not a black and white kind of situation. It's a continuum. A person, even if they've been diagnosed with dementia, that doesn't mean they no longer have capacity to do their planning. It means that their opportunity to do that planning is rapidly coming to an end. So jumping on that, most families, when they're dealing with the diagnosis of dementia, are so focused on the medical. They go online, they Google everything about dementia. Quite frankly, the treatment is the same today as it was 2 years ago. Nothing has changed. But they focus on the medical, they ignore the financial, and they ignore the legal until that person now's gotten to the point where they can't change their power of attorney. They can't change beneficiary designations. They can't redo deeds to their home, and their hands are tied.
And then at that point, in order to take action, you've then got to go through the probate court. I guess you've got to have a guardianship appointed for that individual, and then maybe the guardian who's appointed can work with the family to take that action. But it's much more complicated if you wait to do it after that point.
And expensive, too. That's unfortunately the outcome of not properly planning and seeking advice.
It's time to take our first break of the evening, so let's step aside here. We'll pick right up with Bill and Carter. But first, as we step aside, a couple of reminders. Be sure and check out Hollis Wright social media, Facebook, Twitter, as well as Instagram. Just search Hollis Wright, and you'll find them there. Also, another reminder of how you can join our conversation. Stay tuned. More of the attorneys coming right up.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis Wright, a personal injury law firm. Thank you for watching The Attorneys. Now, we hope you, a friend, or a loved one never needs legal counsel for a case. But if you do, the goal of the show is simple: provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free, so if you have questions specific to the show or related to other accident or injury-related topics, you can call, email, or text us. Or you can also follow us on Facebook or Twitter, or simply contact us by going to hollis-wright.com and click on the Contact Us link. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us watching The Attorneys.
Boy, that's a sobering, firm fact there. Talking about elder law tonight and taking care of those elderly loved ones. Welcome back in to the attorneys. Hey, before we get back to our conversation, a reminder, attorneys from Hollis Wright standing by live all throughout the program tonight. That is a free, confidential, and off-air conversation, so pick up the phone and give them a call. Carter?
Yeah, Bill, I can remember many years ago when my grandmother was getting up in age and my father had to have the discussion with her about taking away her car keys. And your comment a minute ago sort of reminded me of that, because you're talking about getting an individual who may have the early onset of dementia signs and symptoms into your office to take certain action. But gosh, that's really got to be a sensitive topic for the individual, the elderly person that you're talking about. Do you get resistance and reluctance from time to time from the individual that the family members are concerned about?
Absolutely. It's usually the person with dementia is the last person to realize they have a problem. So getting them into the office to have this conversation can sometimes be the biggest challenge, because once you get them in there, you present them with the facts of what they have in place now or lack of a plan, and find out what their goals are, they're usually on board with that. But getting them to come in, one of the funny things about our clients is they're seniors, 80-year-old couple. They've been married to the same person for 50 or 60 years. They've lived in the same house for 50 or 60 years. They've done everything the right way. They've never had a lawyer. They've never met with a lawyer in 80 years of life. They haven't been arrested. They haven't had to file bankruptcy. They haven't gotten a DUI or, a divorce. So their whole idea of a lawyer is framed by what they watch on television, which is, as you know, not realistic. Sometimes it takes a 50-year-old daughter really a lot of work to get them to come in, but once we get them in there, I think we can convince them or show them proper planning can accomplish whatever their goals might be.
Well, I'm very fortunate. Both my parents are still alive and they're in good health, but I jokingly commented to my mother the other day, I think she forgot something. I said, well, you're getting a little up in age, and she didn't really appreciate it too much. So I'm like, boy, is this a foreshadowing of things to come later on? But I know that that's a sensitive subject with a lot of families out there. But talk to the viewers a little bit about if somebody is out there confronting this type of situation. What are the actions that you can take as a lawyer that can help them get the peace and security and peace of mind, so to speak, that their elderly loved one will be taken care of, at least from a legal standpoint?
It's elder law is a little different, than other practice areas. Like if you're in a truck wreck, for example, you need a lawyer. There's no doubt about it. Or you get a DUI, you need a lawyer. But when your parents are wrestling with some of the challenges that aging brings, it doesn't always seem like a legal problem. It just seems like it's our time to go through this, just like mom had to do with grandma, that kind of thing. But the reality is there are a lot of legal issues at work there. They're under the surface, but they're there. I like to ask 3 questions to the adult daughter. If you could ensure that your parents can stay in their home as long as possible and be independent for as long as possible, wouldn't you want to look at that? If you could assure that your parents can pay for their nursing home care for as long as possible, wouldn't you want to explore that? And if we can make sure that you stay in charge of their finances and their property rather than the government stepping in, wouldn't you want to do that? I've never yet met a family who said, no, I don't want to do that.
Right. Of course, that's a pivotal interest to them to get those things done. We also talked at the outset about talking a little bit about abuse, nursing home abuse, and things like that. And talk a little bit about the context in which that comes up in your practice. Is it typically a situation where you've got, say, an adult daughter that sets an appointment and comes to see you and says that they're concerned that maybe one of their siblings is abusing their parent, or is it a situation where it just comes up in the conversation of planning?
Yeah, there are 2 kinds of elder abuse. There's elder financial abuse, which is more often than not a family member doing the abusing, and then there's nursing home abuse, which takes place usually in a facility, nursing home, assisted living, rehab facility, that kind of thing. And each one requires a certain type of approach. With elder financial abuse, we have a new law in Alabama. It's so new that some people at the courthouse don't even know how to interpret it yet. the Elder Abuse Protection Order is the new law. We can enjoin people, a family member, from abusing a senior. With nursing home abuse, of course, that's your area of expertise, and we just turn it over to experts like you to help out. Unfortunately, both of those take place far too often.
Yeah. Other than the financial considerations, what do you tell family members relative to the decision of having the elderly parent coming and living with a daughter or son, or looking into a nursing home facility? What are sort of the pros and cons of going in either direction?
Yeah. I have never in 30 years of working with seniors met a senior who said, I can't wait to move to the nursing home. It is universal. No one wants to go to a nursing home. And so many kids have made an arrangement with mom and dad. I've promised mom, promised dad that I'll never put them in a nursing home. Yeah. And that's the understanding. And nobody has ever explored the what if. What if something happens to you, 50-year-old daughter? Is your husband going to take care of your mom the way you would? Of course not. You need to plan for that because it happens too often. 50-year-old daughters develop disease, they die. So you have to plan as if nursing home stays are a reality, not that something that's totally off the table.
Now, are these items or events, when you say planning, are they taken care of in like a last will and testament type document, or some type of, what is the legal document that you would refer to in terms of planning what would happen in the event that, say, for instance, like the daughter died, and is the question is the husband going to take care of the elderly person? Sure.
With a properly developed plan, a power of attorney could appoint a successor agent after daughter, who could step in and make plans. Healthcare directive would step in and make medical decisions after daughter. If you set up a trust, then the successor trustee could step in and make those decisions. And you basically specify what mom or dad's wishes are in those documents and what plans are in place if something happens, if unforeseen happens.
And these are all customizable plans.
Absolutely.
Obviously, there's not a one-size-fits-all.
No, that's why we don't like to use these television and website
LegalZoom,
Susie Orman, and those, because they don't possibly provide you the customization or the accountability that you get if you have your own attorney.
All right. Let's step aside. You guys are just kind of mowing through.
Sorry about that, David.
Man. No, it's all good. Some great information and really helpful stuff. We'll pick up right here. We're going to step aside. Would love to have you to check us out online and also social media. Believe it or not, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, great educational, informational resources. Love what Hollis Wright does there, so check them out on the social media sites as well. Stay tuned. We're coming right back.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis Wright. In court, attorneys are not allowed to tell juries certain things. For example, we cannot talk about a defendant's net worth, meaning the defendant's ability, resources, or insurance to pay a verdict. In this week's Legal 4-in-1, we're answering the question, why can't lawyers talk about a defendant's net worth to a jury? Now, Rule 403 of the Alabama Rules of Evidence states, in part, relevant evidence may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. Long-standing Alabama cases have held that the net worth of a defendant falls under this catch-all rule and is to be excluded. The reasoning behind the rule is that if a jury knows a defendant is wealthy, then the jury might award more money to the plaintiff. And this goes one step further. If an attorney makes any remarks that suggest the defendant is responsible because he is wealthy or rich and the plaintiff is poor, that can be grounds for a new trial. If you're ever on a jury, the reality in our state is this. In almost every lawsuit that goes to trial, the attorneys representing both the plaintiff and the defendant have already looked at whether there's sufficient insurance coverage or assets to satisfy a verdict. Most likely, the parties would not pursue a civil lawsuit if damages could not be paid after a jury returns a verdict. So even though lawyers cannot mention the net worth of a defendant during trial, there likely are resources available to pay a verdict in court. Please remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis Wright want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. And remember, a competent lawyer will respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you. And as always, thanks for watching The Attorneys right here on WVTM 13.
Welcome back into The Attorneys. Just under 10 minutes remaining in our show tonight. So a quick reminder that if you want to take advantage of that opportunity to speak with attorneys from Hollis Wright who are standing by live, you need to pick up the phone and give them a call. About 10 minutes remaining in the show, a little less than that, so give them a call. Continuing our conversation here about elder law is the topic of conversation. A question we've got here: how do I find a nursing home and what do I look for in choosing one?
The smell test, by far.
Really?
Walk into the nursing home, announced visit, see what you smell. I think that's by far the best way to tell. Now, every nursing home is going to have its problems, but general cleanliness should be an indication of how well it's managed. Second, are people in the hallways, or patients in the hallways, or are they in their rooms? How are they being attended to? Are you welcomed? Ask families who have loved ones there when they're leaving. What's been your experience? I'm thinking about moving mom here. And of course, the state has a website that shows the rankings that the state has given to the nursing home for staff to residents ratio, whether there have been any complaints filed, health department ratings, and so on. So there are a number of ways, but I think asking people who live there is by far the best way to decide.
Yeah, and I was going to mention that the Alabama Department of Public Health that Bill just mentioned is the governing state agency that supervises and provides licenses to nursing home facilities to run these types of places. And there is an incredible amount of information on their website. Not only does it talk about or identify a list of places, whether or not they've engaged in any type of infractions or been sanctioned or suspended, had their license suspended for any types of things. There's also actually information on there about the types of questions that you should ask a nursing home, or if you're interviewing nursing homes, to get the information that would be most pertinent to you in terms of making the best decision for that family member. So I would encourage anybody that is doing general research or specific research for some situation that they may be confronting to go to that website, look through it, because it has a lot of valuable information.
It's helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bill, talk a little bit about once a nursing home is selected and once the loved one is admitted into the nursing home, what advice, if any, would you give to the family members of that loved one in terms of, I mean, obviously you could say, well, go there as often as you can to check on the family member, but in general, what types of steps should family members take in terms of kind of overseeing their loved one and their health and safety at that nursing home? Are there things that they should look out for? How often should they go? Are there specific times during the day they should go? Those types of things.
You know, it's sad that many people, when they move a loved one into a nursing home, feel like the loved one is going to get personalized care. That is not what a nursing home is designed for or staffed for. Your loved one, large of. So sporadic care is the best you can hope for. Some families will hire caregivers to sit with their loved one because they're not getting that personalized care that they feel that they're entitled to because they're spending $8,000 a month to have their loved one there. It's you know, I think that the more often you can be there, the more often you can have someone in the family visit, the better. And of course, on weekends, staffing is going to be limited even more so than during the week. So the more time you could spend there on weekends, the better.
And what types of symptoms, signs, evidence should family members be looking out for in general, and certainly if they suspect some type of physical or emotional abuse taking place?
That's a great question, because so many patients in nursing homes are limited to their bed. And as you know, older people tend to get we used to call thin blood, where they're cold even when it's 90 degrees. So they're under the covers and you can't see them. And you don't want to be nosy, but bed sores, huge problem with a lot of nursing home residents, and bruises. You can have people who have fallen and bruised their hips, their legs, their elbows, shoulders, and you won't see it because they're bundled up. So finding a way to I'll say it, inspect your loved one to make sure there are no bed sores that are getting worse is important.
And what should they do if they identify some evidence and suspect that perhaps the loved one has been a victim of physical abuse or something going on suspicious in the nursing home? Is there a typical chain of command at the nursing home that they should start with, or should they immediately call a lawyer and get them involved?
The first thing they should do is document it, photograph it. And everybody has a camera nowadays. Document it with as many photos in well-lighted situations that you can get, and ideally have those photos time-stamped somehow. And then present that to the appropriate person at the nursing home and see what usually they'll have a care team meeting or something like that, and they'll either address it or they'll just gloss over it. Right. If you don't get the attention and that you think you deserve, that's when you contact someone like me or someone like you and see if we can get some attention.
Believe it or not, we're just about out of time. Less than 2 minutes remaining in our show, but I wanted to give both of you the opportunity just for a final thought for our viewers. And Bill, if you would, you go first.
Well, if you do have a loved one in a nursing home, it costs $7,000 or $8,000 a month to be there. That's a lot of money. And it's not covered by Blue Cross, Medicare, TRICARE, Railroad Retirement. It's not covered. It's strictly private pay. Right. So finding a way to pay for it is important. And that's when families should talk to someone like me or one of the other elder law attorneys in town about Medicaid planning. How can we find a way to get Medicaid benefits as soon as possible? Otherwise, you're spending money you don't have to.
Yeah. Well, and I don't want to seem overly critical of nursing homes. There are nursing homes out there that are doing a great job. They're doing it the right way. They're complying with all of the rules and regulations, and they should be commended for that. But there are those circumstances where there is abuse being engaged in, and if you have a family member that is a victim of abuse or you suspect that they are, then you should certainly get in touch with an attorney. And unfortunately, we didn't have enough time tonight, but abuse at the home where an elderly parent moves in with a child is also a big problem, and they need to be on the lookout for that as well.
Yeah, you got to look out for each other for sure. Appreciate the time, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you for being with us, and thank you as always for joining us right here on The Attorneys. We're wrapping up, but you can still get in touch with Hollis Wright. That's what you see there is how you can do so. We appreciate the time as always, and we'll look for you next time right here on The Attorneys.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by Hollis Wright.